just learn to love her even more. Yes, trust is a very hard thing to keep going, especially if you broken it some way and doubt creeps in and other issues start coming in if you break the trust. But you can always get the trust back. It's just you've got to do the work. And from my own personal thing is just that, you know, also never in your mind have an idea of an affair. It's hard to do for men, and just as me being a man, pornography was available, abuse did happen, and as Chris was saying earlier, our minds, plus I say it too, our minds are like computers. We can't just wipe our minds like you can a computer, but over time we can clean it up, but those images are still there no matter what, and, the horrible thing is they just sit there and sit there and sit there. And then one day, an interest comes up or, you're upset. You have some problem which may not even be your significant other, your wife or girlfriend or whoever. But it spurs up that, past viewing or pictures.
You're just talking about triggers. So you find that a stressful situation will make you uncomfortable, and in order to soothe, or in order to, it's like people drinking when they have a bad day at work. This is sort of a way of relaxing, a way of feeling good, instant reward. When you're going through something that is frustrating, it's a way of getting your mind off of it. So that's sort of your triggers, and then your reward for viewing the content. I want to sort of redirect just a little bit. I think the first part of our discussion really was, is it a problem? Well, we know that 52% of men have or will experience some form of erectile dysfunction in their lifetime. By age 70, they have a 70% likelihood of having some form, especially if they have vascular disease, which is the most prevalent form of challenge. Most people get a little high blood pressure. But when we look at this whole process of, the emotional side and the physical side, we find that if a person is in poor physical health, they're more likely to have erectile dysfunction or sexual dysfunction. But we also know that emotional health has an impact. So we're talking sort of about these two elements of the dynamic of what makes up the total man, physical health, and then the emotional and spiritual health. So let's deal with each of those three areas. The physical health I've kind of discussed, where being in good physical health with having minimal heart disease, minimal hypertension, being active, taking good physical care of your body, low on sweets, keeping your blood sugar on par with what it should be. Those things are excellent in terms of helping to minimize the risk factors for developing those issues. Also, surgical things can cause problems, but that's beyond the scope of this discussion. The second part is the part that I think women are more concerned about, or at least it seemed to me from the questioning, that some of the questions that were submitted. Emotional health is where a lot of them parked. One is, can they do anything? Two, is it their fault? Three, is there an affair or someone else being involved? So let's first of all unbundle that. If a man is not in good emotional health, he's more likely to be depressed or more likely not to be physically active. We know that. The question is, how can a wife bridge the gap there? So what do young wives do that makes it work for them? You talked about communication. So that's the first one. Hey, what's going on? Is there something that's going on? Get it out in the open, write it down, start working a plan to get that solved. I think that was an excellent suggestion by Mustang. Two is look at it from the vantage point of a person who is trying to be empathetic, which is what BA brought up in the discussion. So being empathetic is absolutely important in terms of bridging the gap for a particularly prickly type of issue. The third is, and I think wives can do this, is really to say, hey, we need to go to the doctor about this. If there are months and years that are going by with no physical activity and no desire and no function, something's going on. Those are the things I would suggest first, prior to assuming an affair. And the reason why I say affairs are last, and then look for, that's the other one, we mentioned that. Look for porn addiction. Sometimes physical affairs or emotional affairs are not actually happening, but a porn addiction might be. And that might kill the ability for a man to perform, especially if he's got a drop in the hormones that are there to help make performance work. Bring that to a doctor's attention. Because what that can do is allow you, first of all, to broach any topics that need to be cleared up and not swept under the rug, but it also will allow for potentially dangerous health issues to be uncovered. And that, for example, the hypertension or diabetes or these other things. So I just wanted to give sort of that overview before we deal more specifically with each of those elements. Gentlemen, if there are times when you're not in the mood, let her understand that, but don't let those times be frequent. Let them be rather infrequent. This has been Conversations from the Cave. We've had a lot of fun tonight. We're going to come back next week with another continuation of this sexual dysfunction in the marriage bed. We're also going to talk about things that we can do and think and our standards when we consider how to create physical intimacy and how to maintain a hot marriage once you're in it. Be sure to subscribe to our Facebook page, and also please do subscribe to our weekly podcasts online at Spreaker.com. Type in Conversations from the Cave and be sure to become a subscriber to our channel. Finally, if you have questions, feel free to reach out to us online at our Facebook page, which is Conversations from the Cave on Facebook. Conversations from the Cave. I'm your host, Kirk Kennedy. It's been fun, and we'll see you next week.
Conversations from the Cave is brought to you by the Alabama Cornea Care Center, Northern Alabama's first irregular cornea, keratoconus, and scleral lens referral center, specializing in the management of degenerative cornea disease and complications resulting from refractive surgery. For more information, you may visit them on the web at alabamacorneacare.com. The Alabama Cornea Care Center, helping patients see the light of the world. Conversations from the Cave is a production of the Provox Media Group. For more information or to share your questions or comments, visit our podcast Facebook page by searching Conversations from the Cave. The views expressed on this program are the personal beliefs of the panelists and do not necessarily represent the beliefs of the Provox Media Group or its sponsors. Join us next time for more real talk from real men. Conversations from the Cave.